After rewatching Game 4, I think the biggest story is not the comeback itself. I think the biggest story is that Mike Brown may have discovered the adjustment that wins the Knicks a championship. And if that's true, the Spurs could have a massive problem heading into Game 5. Let's be honest, this game looked over. The Spurs were up 29, the Garden was stunned, the offense looked broken, the defense could not get stops, and for the first time in this finals, it genuinely felt like San Antonio had figured something out. The Knicks were not just losing, they were getting embarrassed. Then Mike Brown started making changes, and that's where everything shifted. The biggest adjustment of the night was simple. Mike Brown stopped asking Jalen Brunson to do everything. Instead, he put Jose Alvarado on the floor with him, and suddenly the game changed. For most of the series, the Spurs have been loading up on Brunson, blitzing him, trapping him, trying to force the ball out of his hands. When Brunson was the only real creator on the floor, that strategy worked for the Spurs, but when Alvarado entered the game with Brunson, everything changed. Now the Spurs could not just sell out on Brunson, now there was another ball handler to help him. Another playmaker and another guy who could attack a scrambling defense. Alvarado finished with crucial fourth quarter production and was a huge positive during those minutes with Brunson. Mike Brown's decision to pair them together was one of the biggest turning points of the game, and here's the scary part for San Antonio. I don't think this is a one-game adjustment. I think we're going to see it again in Game 5. Now let's talk about Victor Wembanyama, because through stretches of this series, he's looked unstoppable. He's too tall, too skilled, and too unique, and you aren't stopping him completely, but I think Mike Brown may have found something. In the second half, the Knicks increasingly relied on OG Anunoby in key defensive situations, and Wemby simply looked less comfortable. OG's strength, OG's physicality, and OG's willingness to crowd space, it changes things. Even in the final moments of Game 4, Anunoby was making game-changing defensive plays before delivering the game-winning tip-in, and if I'm Mike Brown, I'm seriously considering opening Game 5 with OG as the primary Wemby matchup. Not because it'll shut him down, but because it disrupts rhythm, and sometimes that's enough to slow down a player like that. And now I want to talk about Josh Hart, because Knicks fans are focused on Brunson, OG, and Wemby. But Hart has quietly had 2 rough games in a row, and honestly that makes me optimistic. Why? Because Josh Hart is usually at his best after criticism. At his best after struggles, and at his best when people start doubting him. The rebounds have not been what we're used to seeing, the energy has not been quite as dominant, and the impact has not felt as large. But that's exactly why he's the guy that I'm watching in Game 5. Championship teams usually get an unexpected hero, and I would not be shocked at all if Josh Hart becomes that guy tomorrow night. Now let's address the conversation a lot of Knicks fans have been having. Victor Wembanyama has become one of the most controversial players in this finals. There was the flagrant on Karl Anthony Towns, the shove on Brunson, and the controversial contact involving OG. And now plenty of fans are questioning whether the league is treating him differently because of his superstar status, and what we know for sure is this: the league declined to add additional flagrant punishment after review, meaning Wembanyama remains available and the focus shifts back to basketball. Personally, I think the Knicks cannot spend energy worrying about officiating. The best response is exactly what they've done all series. Keep attacking, keep competing, and keep making the refs irrelevant as possible. And here's why I feel very good about Game 5. The Knicks are not heading to San Antonio hoping to figure things out. They already found something. The Brunson-Alvarado pairing worked. OG's defensive impact was enormous. The Knicks showed unbelievable resilience, and perhaps most importantly, they reminded themselves who they are. This team does not quit ever. Coming back from 29 down is not luck, that's belief, that's culture, and that's leadership. And it's why they're now 1 win away from ending a championship drought that has lasted for more than 5 decades. So personally, I think San Antonio comes out swinging as a desperate team on Saturday for Game 5. I think Wemby has another huge game, and I think the crowd is insane. But I also think Mike Brown sticks with what worked. More Brunson and Alvarado pairing, more OG on Wemby, more pressure, and more pace. And I think Josh Hart finally has the bounce back game that Knicks fans have been waiting for. Because championship teams usually learn the most about themselves when things look impossible, and after Game 4, I think the Knicks learned exactly how they want to win this series. So while everyone is celebrating the greatest comeback in NBA Finals history, I keep thinking about one thing. What if the biggest thing that happened was not the comeback? What if it was the adjustment? Because if Mike Brown truly found something with Brunson and Alvarado, and if OG really is the best answer the Knicks have for Wembanyama, then Game 4 may be remembered as more than a miracle. It may be remembered as the night the Knicks found the formula that won them a championship. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and sub to the channel for more Knicks coverage. It's been KNYT here, and I'll see you guys in the next one.